Well, few remember the 1973 oil embargo from OPEC and the 1979 hostage crisis in Iran, which resulted in escalating oil prices far beyond your belief. And just want to look at this chart real quickly. This is actually a chart that's off the Energy Council, I believe it is, and it goes only to 2008. But what's interesting about this chart, it priced everything in 2008 dollars. So if you look back in 1979, this is back at the time when we had the height in silver and gold and platinum and palladium, and everything rose to the roof. Actually, at that time, a lot of people don't remember. They wouldn't know. There was actually an excise tax placed upon oil profits for trading at that time because there was so much money being made. And this is during the heyday of Mark Rich. Mark Rich, if you remember who he was trading with, there were some oil arrangements done with Iran despite the U.S. government not allowing that. Now, Mark Rich just died recently. He was actually forgiven by Bill Clinton, though, when Bill Clinton left office. But if you look back, to give a good example how war actually changes the price of commodities, especially oil, this was back during the Civil War in the United States. And actually, in real 2008 dollars, it was really probably at an all-time high if you're adjusting for inflation. Looking over here forward to World War I, also rose significantly. Not so much in World War II because we've actually we had a lot of oil production domestically. Now, the game plan probably is going to be happening here when tensions happen politically. In the Middle-East, they're already set to, what's going to happen, though, is basically, maybe it's not going to be like this. This is 1973. But back in 1973, I think gas was about 30 cents a gallon or 32 cents or 35 cents. But, that gives you a good rough equivalent. You could say today it's about 340, 350, 10 times. But it rose up to like 75 cents and eventually rose up to $1. So we can be seeing $7.50 gas to $8 gas to $10 gas with this crisis. And I'm going to get on with a little bit more on this because it's actually the big key here is if Baghdad ever gets captured, forget about it. Forget about it. That's, I don't know. One of the problems we have right now here because the big joke is that, according to this, well, it's not a joke, but I mean, it's, Obama has very weak foreign policy, and it's almost like, it may be per the elite, they want this guy out the door now for something. They want some kind of change. I don't know. They originally seemed like they wanted him back in there in 2012, but maybe they want him out again. I don't know. And, I can also state that even during the 1979 hostage crisis we had in Iran, a lot of people don't remember this, but you have to be an idiot not to figure this. If I gave you this little factoid, they would not release any of the hostages in when they had the embassy takeover in Iran. They would not release any of the hostages during the time of Jimmy Carter. Now, I'm not even a Democrat or nothing, but during the time of Jimmy Carter, and then I think it was like within 2 months or almost immediately thereafter when Reagan was in office, the hostages were released, and it was all like a big thing for his power and all that kind of garbage. Now, I'm telling you right now, I pretty much vote Republican, so I'm not doing this even as a political thing. I'm just saying there's a lot of games going on, and Obama may be on a chopping block, but that does not mean that if Obama's on the chopping block that things are going to change with the New World Order and that type of stuff. So, when we're looking at this thing, this was actually reminiscent. This is an old picture from 1973 when we had gas lines. Now, I don't know, we're not going to have gas lines like this or nothing like that because we're not dependent upon OPEC oil anymore. But what we probably could have is very, very, very high prices. And a lot of people just aren't thinking about this because the situation in the Middle East, first off, if there's any kind of conflict that goes on here and say it heats up, and I'm showing that other map here with Iraq, what happened here is basically Iran is moving into the territory since we moved out of there a few years ago. One way with ISIS and everything, and ISIS got helped out by Obama. This is not. I don't want to put this out as like a fear mongering thing per se, but do be prepared that to get yourself if you're going to get yourself some kind of vehicles or anything like that that have high gas mileage or doing anything to prepare for that now, you want to do it now. You want to do it now more than even like prepare yourself and say, oh, I got silver, oh, I got gold, oh, I got this, because I expect those things to go up, but you know what? It's going to be eaten up on the other side by oil cost. And, not $5 a gallon gasoline. I'm talking like $7.58 up to $10 a gallon of gasoline pretty soon if that's all happens. Because what can happen here, say for instance we get into major conflict, or say we got troops back here, or say Iran's getting in here, it's more of a hot war, it's not by a proxy. What can happen is all they have to do is to sabotage some of the refineries which are right across from Saudi. And you know what happened? I think it was in 2012. They had in early 2012, there was like even a rumor of a Saudi pipeline fire, and it turned out it wasn't even true. And it was they were saying it was it drove up the price of oil to like 110 or 111 on the WTI that fast. It can go up like a rocket. So again, I just want to show you like this chart from way back. Here it is, right here. Excuse me. When you're looking in real dollars, we had a serious exponential fast increase up in 1976. Now, if we're looking at real dollars today, this isn't real dollars in 2008 dollars, but if we're looking at today's dollars, $200 is not unreasonable. $200 a barrel oil is not unreasonable at all. And, that was a prediction way back during the time when oil was going up in 2008. Goldman was actually telling people, hey, it's going to go past the 147 that they hit in early July of 2008, and they're predicting 200. But actually it went down about 35 to actually below 50. I think it was 35 at its lowest point. It dropped back down. Now, I do not expect it to stay up there forever. That's the other thing. I do not expect it to stay up there forever, but it could stay up there for a year, 2 years, or whatever. Or maybe it can go way up and then come back down and then go back up again even higher. But eventually what's going to happen is we're probably not going to be driving gasoline cars. We're probably going to go more to electric. There's going to be some serious moves that way, because if gasoline does start costing $10 a gallon, you're going to see plenty of hybrids sold out, and electric cars are going to be very, very, very popular because of that. But I think this is coming up pretty soon. It's not something where I'm trying to play fear, but I'm just saying be prepared. Be prepared, because, eventually it'll come back down. Eventually it'll straighten out. But, it's almost like you want to have that life raft. In other words, yes, maybe you can, your boat sinks in the middle of a lake or something like that. But, eventually you'll make it to shore. But you want to make sure you have that life raft to get you there, or your life jacket, or whatever the hell it is. And that's exactly what you got to be prepared for. It's not going to be a situation that's going to be like that, doom and gloom forever. But you want to have a contingency plan. And a lot of these people during this time did not have contingency plans. Actually, I remember way back then, I had 55-gallon drums what I put gasoline in back then. And I was actually pretty well set. I remember this time because I've been around a while, and I do remember this. And, I was driving a car with the 12 miles a gallon cars back then. But, and I kicked myself in the butt for selling my Volkswagen Beetle that I had before. But, it could happen again. And this time we're not going to be seeing, like, in other words, back then, he's saying, like, price of gasoline was 35 cents, 40 cents. It went only up to 75 cents to $1. So that, if you just multiply by 10, that's the $3.50 to $4 what it is now. It can easily go to $7.50 to $10. It's not, it's analogous to the situation now. And it could go up that fast, because I want to show you again what can happen during war. This was the Iranian hostage crisis here. This was the 73 oil embargo. This was the 2008 hike. And back here, if you're looking in real dollars, that was even an all-time high. If you're in real dollars in 2008 dollars, it was actually the Civil War. So Civil War, or any kind of war, brings up oil very fast. It's liquid black gold. But eventually technology is going to actually knock oil out of the loop. It's going to price itself right out of existence for the grand majority of things, or it's going to have to come down quite a bit, because what will happen is maybe a certain amount of vehicles will come out, or whatever, a certain amount of production will come out using, using solar panels to make electricity versus using fossil fuels or whatever kind of fuels you want to call that, if it really is fossil. But eventually, this is the typical thing with the oil market. It's a spike. It's a spike. But you want to be prepared during this time. You want to be prepared. So just putting this out as a warning, because not as a fear-mongering thing. I actually am pretty well prepared for this type of thing. So I got ways where I have, ways I can get around that are very cheap and economical and that type of stuff, and I have prepared myself. So just keep that in mind, because I think this is coming up. Once Baghdad gets captured, if that happens, if Baghdad gets captured, I just want to put this out here again, like if I just show this map right here, if Baghdad gets captured, you got to remember, the U.S. is out of this deal right now. If Baghdad gets captured and we got a weak president, it's $200 a barrel oil, no problem, without even getting in any kind of hot war. So this is not a just conspiracy theory. This can very much be the real situation.